It was 2006, in a small town in Canada named Medicine Hat. 3 members of the Richardson family were brutally murdered. The only survivor is their 12-year-old daughter, Jasmine. The residents of Medicine Hat were shocked when the identity of the killer emerged. Jasmine, together with her boyfriend, killed her mother, father and brother. She was the youngest person in Canadian history to be convicted of multiple homicides. Jasmine Richardson met Jeremy Steinke at a punk concert. According to Jasmine's friends and family, she was a happy, social girl before, but meeting Jeremy changed her. The 11-year difference in their ages shocked people, but it was the change in lifestyle and attitude which was found most shocking. Formerly a typical small-town Canadian teen, Jasmine fell in love with Jeremy and his lifestyle. Jeremy introduced her to the goth subculture. Instantly, Jasmine found her niche. She became a regular poster on a website such as vampirefreaks.com. She started wearing heavy makeup and all the black outfits. In one fell swoop, Jasmine turned from a typical pre-teen into a brooding, menacing version of her former self. Jeremy came from a different background though. Whereas the Richardson family were as wholesome as you could hope, the Steinke family were much more fractured. Jeremy's mother was an alcoholic, and she was regularly abused by her partner. School was no escape for Jeremy. The other children in school bullied Jeremy relentlessly. By the time he met Jasmine, he had already tried to commit suicide. His difficult childhood meant that Jeremy had constructed a strange, elaborate persona. Everywhere he went, he wore a vial of human blood strung around his neck. Occasionally, he would claim to be a 300-year-old werewolf. Jeremy and Jasmine would listen to music, watch films and do everything together. Now I don't know about you guys, but carrying around blood and claiming to be a werewolf makes me think that this guy had a little more issues than mental health, and that he was actually smoking crack instead. This we will never know though. When Jasmine's family finally found out about the relationship, they tried to prevent her from seeing Jeremy. They didn't succeed though. This would just anger them even more, making them do the things that they did. The relationship became more intense. Jasmine was convinced that she and Jeremy were falling deeply in love, despite the age difference between the two. Her parents' anger only helped kindle the burning fires of the relationship, turning Jasmine and her family further into Jeremy's arms. Jeremy too noticed the Richardson family's resent towards them. He kept an online blog, and on the 3rd of April 2006, he complained extensively about the unfair treatment Jasmine received from her parents. He closed with the pretentious lines, "Their throats I want to slit. Finally, there shall be silence. Their blood shall be payment." Now boys, I can't tell if this guy was trying to act like he was the main character in some old 1300 play, or that he was just really good with words and is way ahead of his time. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Jasmine was growing further away from her family. The Richardsons had lost their innocent daughter to this pathetic 300-year-old werewolf. Everything they tried seemed to make her love for Jeremy even more strong. Jasmine began emailing Jeremy with the fragments of her plan. "It begins with me killing them," she wrote, "and it ends with me living with you." Jeremy seemed enthusiastic. "I love your plan," he said, "but we need to get a little more creative with the details and stuff." From there, the idea grew. Jasmine's friends remembered how she told them about the plan. They didn't believe that this young girl, their friend, could seriously be thinking about killing her parents. On the 2nd of April 2006, Jasmine and Jeremy sat down together and watched a film. They selected Oliver Stone's 1994 film, Natural Born Killer, written by Quentin Tarantino. In the film, a young couple go on a love-inspired killing spree. The next day, Jasmine and Jeremy would change Medicine Hat forever. Tyler Richardson was just 8 years old. On the 23rd of April, his friend called at the Richardson household, but when the friend knocked on the door, there was no answer. The little boy peeked through a basement window, trying to spot Tyler. As he squinted through the glass, he could see no one, and then he saw a terrible sight, one that will stay with him forever. The boy, staggering back from the house, ran straight to his mother. His mother called the police. The police arrived at the Richardson house. The inspector, Brent Secondiak, didn't know what to expect. Following the information he'd been given, he knocked at the house. When there was no answer, he went to the basement window and peeked inside. He could see just about one person, laying on the ground. He could tell something was wrong. Instantly, Brent called for backup, hoping he would still be able to save a life. The police kicked down the door. Brent went straight to the basement and found Mark and Deborah dead on the floor. The police wasted no time and searched the house, top to bottom. Upstairs, they found young Tyler dead in his bedroom, 3 dead people, all murdered, but there was no sign of the other Richardson child, that 12-year-old psychotic Jasmine. Brent put out a search. No one even considered that she might have been involved in the murders, but they had to find the girl and give her the terrible news about her family. While people searched for Jasmine, the police began to put together the events of the night before. The scene was terrible, one of the worst Brent has ever seen. Deborah, it was decided, had been killed first. There were at least a dozen stab wounds all over her body. Mark seemed to have fought back, armed with a screwdriver. He had defensive wounds, slashes and cuts where he tried to defend himself, but no avail. Both parents were found dead in pools of their own blood. But it was the murder of the 8-year-old which was the most shocking. Tyler had been asleep in his bed. Whoever had killed him had approached slowly, not disturbing the sleeping boy, with a knife. They slashed his throat wide open. The kid's bedroom was soaked in blood. Jasmine was still missing. The police released a statement saying they were searching for Jasmine Richardson with regards to a serious family matter, but as they searched the house, her locker, and interviewed her friends, Jasmine soon began to emerge as a suspect. They followed a trail of digital evidence, including emails between Jasmine and Jeremy, as well as a search for Jasmine. They put out a search for Jeremy's truck. The next day, the couple were picked up. By that time, they had become the primary suspects in the murder case. Jasmine and Jeremy were both charged with 3 murders, as well as the email exchange between the young lovers. The police interviewed a number of witnesses who said that Jeremy confessed to the murders. He said that he gutted his victims like fish. The story took hold in the Canadian press and shocked the nation. While Jeremy's story seemed both violent and tragic, it was Jasmine who really stunned the nation. At the time of her trial, her name could not legally be published in the press. She was known only as JR and could not be sentenced as an adult for at least 2 years. This meant that, despite the violent nature of her crimes, the longest sentence Jasmine could receive was 10 years. The trial did not last long, and when Jasmine was found guilty of 3 murders, she became the youngest person to be convicted of multiple murders in Canadian history. Jeremy's was less morbidly fascinating. While in custody, he had talked to an undercover officer and admitted to the murders. Just like Jasmine, he was found guilty of all 3 murders. He received 3 life sentences to be served concurrently and will only be eligible for parole after serving 25 years of his sentence. While still in jail, he proposed to Jasmine and she said yes. The 2 exchanged letters frequently, and at no time did they express any remorse for their actions. In 2016, Jasmine was released from the criminal justice system. At the time, she was still 1 year younger than Jeremy was when he helped her kill her family. She is now a free woman, surprisingly. I'm guessing she got off lightly because she was a girl. Please don't hate that comment, boys, cause we all know it's true. Anyway, as shocking as the case was in Canada, the murder of the Richardson family left many unsatisfied. Jeremy and Jasmine never revealed their true motives, leaving people to speculate about why they were killed. My guess is because they resented the Richardsons' disapproval of the relationship. Perhaps they were simply insane, but no explanation makes sense of the murder of Tyler, and the couple have never shown any remorse. For all the talk of werewolves and vials of blood, for all the promises of running away together, Jeremy and Jasmine both served serious time. One day, perhaps they will finally be together, maybe in hell. In the end, boys, this is a crazy story. It just shows how much evil is deep within someone to begin with.